Hello, great to have you guys here. I hope you managed to find us because for the first time ever, we are doing this on the likes of YouTube and LinkedIn, and it's terribly exciting. So if you're on either of those platforms, please, please, please do put into the chat that you are there and that you're watching because it would be really awesome to know, apart from anything else. So this is like the Chloe filler bit before we really get started. So as I said, if you are tuning in on YouTube or LinkedIn, please do let me know in the comments that you've found us because that would just make my day, quite frankly. I know a lot of you though are tuning in for the replay, so that totally understand that we have people tuning in from all over the world to join us for these events. So hey, Chris is here. Someone's watching on LinkedIn. It worked. That is awesome. Thank you, Chris. If you're on YouTube, still do with a YouTuber logging in. So if you're over there on YouTube, then do say hello. We got Paul Wilson here as well. Hello, Paul. Loving the sunglasses emojis. It is raining like mad here right now. So yeah, no sunglasses being worn in Cornwall this afternoon. But good to know you've got the sunglasses on. So like I said, I'm going to fill for a couple of minutes whilst we wait for people to find us, get logged in, and then we will get started. So it would be very cool to know where you are in the world. So if you fancy putting that in the chat too, that would be interesting because we've put ads and stuff about this all over the place. I'd be really interested to know where you actually are as you're tuning in for this. And do also add your hey and Catherine's over on YouTube. We got someone on YouTube, past podcast guest, in fact. Catherine from Plum's Lingerie. That's pretty cool. And Paul is saying it's pretty dark in Norwich. So very much a UK crowd so far. I guess maybe the US have not quite woken up or didn't fancy spending breakfast with me. Maybe. Okay, so I think probably time Chloe stopped being excited about the tech and actually covered what I'm supposed to be covering with you all today. So welcome to my 5 things to master in 2022. This has been a few months now in the making. I've been working my way through what it is I wanted to cover with all of you. So you're in for a treat, I think. There's a lot of very exciting stuff I'm very passionate coming up and about in this. But before we get into all of that, for those of you who are not familiar with me and what I do here at eCommerce MasterPlan, I want to run through a little bit of that first. So I am these days a podcast host and author. That's pretty much all I do. But I've been in the industry for almost 20 years, working client side for a multi-channel retailer back in the early mid 2000s, managing everything from catalogs and email through to affiliates. Then I ran a marketing agency for 10 years, doing Google ads, Facebook ads, email marketing, all kinds of stuff over the full 10 years of that, to be honest. And since I sold that, I've been able to fully devote my time to helping people like you work out how to make your e-commerce business more successful. I mainly focus on the marketing side of things, solving marketing problems for you, but nowadays I'm also doing a fair amount on helping you embrace that world that is carbon neutral. So someone else is tuning in from Cornwall. Very cool. Thank you. I'm only getting LinkedIn user, so that's just one of the things LinkedIn does, but it's very cool to know there's someone else from Cornwall tuning in who has the sun and not the rain. Well, if it's coming your way, you're about to get very wet. So I'm now here to help you improve your e-commerce business and also to help you on the mysterious path to net zero, because our industry needs to do that in spades. So that's kind of our 2 focuses across everything I'm doing. There's 3 things in front of you. You've got my best-selling book, E-commerce Marketing, How to Get Traffic That Buys to Your Website. Pretty obvious what's in that one. Then we've also got my 2 podcasts. E-commerce Masterplan's been going since 2015, and it's ranked really highly. We got loads of listeners. It humbles me regularly looking at the stats for that one. And on it, every Monday, I share an inspiring interview with a different e-commerce business owner to help you work out ways to improve your own business. We've just finished our January growth series where we had 9 episodes, each focusing on a different element of what I think it will take to grow a business successfully in 2022. Strangely enough, quite a lot of that's relevant to what we're going to be talking about today, because this is kind of the wrap up of our January growth month. And then my other podcast, which is now about 18 months old, it's getting quite old, is Keep Optimizing, where we focus on a different marketing method each month. And then each week I have a different expert explaining how to do different elements of that marketing method. And there's quite a few of those I'll be referencing as we go through today too. Now, I said I'm a podcaster these days. That means I have nothing to sell you. Nothing at all. There is no sales pitch in this session. My only aim is to give you great advice for your e-commerce business. So you want to come back and hear more from me in the future via the books I write, the podcasts I produce, and the virtual summits we run. It's that simple. So enjoy. This is all content. Hopefully no filler. I don't think there's any filler, although I do reserve the right to rant occasionally. And there will be no sales pitch at the end. It's as simple as that. The other thing that's really important for you to know about on this particular slide is that I have put together a page full of beautiful links and references and further reading for you, because I can't just leave you with my 5 things and hope that you get on with it. So I've given you this page full of stuff that you can get your hands on. So let me show you what it looks like. It's also where you'll be able to get the replay. So you'll be able to watch the replay pretty much immediately after we finish. As soon as YouTube chugs through it all, it'll be on there for you. You can download the slide deck I'm going through. You can subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already, but that is totally optional. You don't have to do it to get what's on this page. And then you've got links to research, podcast episodes, and all sorts of things linked to what I'm going to be talking to you about today. So there's a little sneak preview of what's coming up as well, together with some more books and links to our podcast and my books as well. So that's all available for you right now. I've just shared the link on YouTube. And just for total clarity, Chloë link /master22, or even chloelink.com/master22 is what's going to get you all those goodies. So they're available for you right now. And they will also be available essentially forever for you to check out and go and follow up. So lots of further exploration that you can do depending on which of the particular things I run through today resonate with you the most. So my 5 things. It would be fair to say that the last couple of years in e-commerce have been a little bit of a roller coaster. Well, they've been a bit of a roller coaster everywhere, quite frankly, because of the pandemic and all the impacts it has had. Now, I'm not going to spend a load of time rehashing those because, quite frankly, none of us need to live through it again. But I've looked at all the things we kind of learned over those 2 years, all the conversations I've had with people running retail businesses, helping retail businesses, and the various trends that are coming through that, to try and look at what might be the situation in 2022, because I think we ended 2020 thinking, well, no year will ever be as crazy as that again, will it? Which we were totally wrong about, because 2022 reached a whole new level of crazy. Sorry, 2021 even reached a whole new level of crazy. So I'm not going to make the mistake looking at 2022 thinking it will just be more of the same. So what I've done for this presentation for all of you is I've kind of tried to imagine I'm in December 2022, so the end of this year, looking back and seeing what things the successful businesses in 2022 will have mastered in order to be declared the most successful e-commerce businesses of 2022. And I've drilled that down into 5, and there's kind of like a bonus one, so it's really 6. And I guess the key three trends I'm jumping on to take you through all of this are how you react to these kind of 3 big shifts. Now, I know there's been a lot of changes in supply chain, and I know that inflation's going up and those areas too. Those are things we're also going to have to deal with this year, but I think these are the 3 which will take you above and beyond the rest of the pack. Okay, so you need to find a way to deal with the fact that competition has massively increased in the e-commerce space. The pandemic meant lots and lots of businesses started selling online for the first time. Either they were furlough businesses, so people had an idea and they launched it, or they were businesses where they previously sold offline and they started selling online. And yes, they all started off in 2020. But in 2021, they learned how to actually market. So they actually became a threat to those who are already up there and selling. And we may have people tuning in who are part of that new group of e-commerce. And we love the fact you've come to join us because you're making us all do better and be better marketers and run better businesses. But competition is way up, which has some really big impacts on how we go about becoming successful in the e-commerce space. Consumer motivations have changed. This is a big set of trends which was starting pre-pandemic and have really grown as we've gone through the last 2 years. So things like greater emotional connection, wanting to spend better, the general pandemic PTSD depression thing we're all feeling, and that need for human connection. So all of that, and the need for story as well, all of that feeds into the 5 I'm going to be sharing with you. And cookies. You can't talk about marketing at the moment without talking about the death of cookies, the cookie apocalypse. In fact, we did a whole month on it on Keep Optimizing in January, and we've kind of continued that in this month on Keep Optimizing with a series of episodes about offline marketing. Yes, we talk offline marketing as well as digital marketing here. So these are the 3 kind of big themes I've been trying to address or to capitalize upon as I take you through my 5 ways or things rather to master to be successful in e-commerce this year. I think that's enough preamble. I think it's probably time. Yeah, it's probably time we actually got onto the first one. And I should say, before we get into the first one, there will be time for questions at the end, answer questions related to this, or quite frankly, pretty much anything. Just add those in the comments section wherever you're watching this, and they will feed through to me. And feel free to ask questions as we go, and I will do my best to respond to those as we go. That's the benefit of being here live and not watching the replays. You get to get your questions answered. So, what is the first one? The first one is zero-party data. For anyone who's not sure what that is, very quick explanation. First-party data is data you collect from your customers, so email sign-up, for example, or postal addresses, that kind of thing. Zero-party data is data the customer chooses to give to you. So that's if you say to them, give us your birth date so we can send you something nice on your birthday. That would be zero-party data, that birth date you captured. It is a hugely exciting way to tackle all 3 of the issues I just ran through. If you can start collecting zero-party data and using it well, you will build a stronger relationship with your customers, which is what they want. That will also enable you to outshine the competition, and it's totally non-cookie dependent. And it also, as you start capturing it, you can create audiences that you can then feed back into your ad channel. So it actually gives you a way to mitigate some of the issues that come from the degradation of targeting abilities on platforms like Facebook because of the death of cookies. So it ticks a lot of boxes, zero-party data, but it's not easy to do. It's quite complicated to do, especially if you do what my natural inclination would be, which would be to cover the wall behind me in a massive flowchart of questionnaires and different things I could ask people to find out stuff to then try and feed into my emails. Key thing with zero-party data is start small, start simple, and then build it out. There are 2 parts to it. One is collecting the data, and the second one is using the data. I'm going to show you an example in a second from a company we've had, a small e-commerce skincare brand that we've had on the podcast who have been doing this and who talk about how they're doing it on the podcast. Links to that obviously are in the resources page for you. And we also had an episode where probably the king of zero-party data, Ben Parr from Octane AI, came on the Keep Optimizing podcast earlier this year to talk about zero-party data and how you use it. We'll be covering it again later this year. So that, again, all available via the resources. So 2 parts, collecting it via quizzes and pop-ups on your website. So like you would collect email data, collect quiz data instead, ask questions. And then secondly, you then need to actually use the data, because that's where the real power is in actually using that data to improve customer relationships and so forth. So let me give you the example. This is UXB Skincare. We followed the story of this business growing as Simon, the founder, came on the podcast a few times over the course of a year to take us through it. And one of the things he developed was this skincare quiz. So you'll have seen this popping up on e-commerce sites all over the place. And it is essentially the start, the way you capture your data, your zero-party data, so you can then personalize the flows later on. Then you also see bottom right of the screen, we've got a hi there, nice to see you. We've got a promo code. Would you like to get one now? Yes, no, thanks. Now, this was one of the top tips that Ben shared when he came on Keep Optimizing, was actually don't start with a quiz, just start with a pop-up that asks a yes, no question or a cat dog question. You may well have seen this happening on ads as well. So ask a simple question and then take the email, and you will get much greater sign-up rates actually from that, not just get extra data too. Consumers are really responding to this at the moment. So this is how we go about collecting it. Keep it simple. Total, definite, most important thing you need to know about zero-party data is start small and then expand. And then once you've done that, you're going to give the customer something in response. You'll give them tailored communications. In the case of UXB, they will get, the customer gets information on what your skin type is and therefore what your perfect skincare routine is, which of course leads them into products. Which, when you get into the product recommendation piece, this is like the third awesome silver lining of zero-party data. It's a neuromarketing piece, which is that if you are involved in the creation of the process of the product, which being part of a quiz that determines which of the products you need to buy, so you determine the product selection, you are as a consumer considerably more likely to convert. So as well as kind of making your marketing better, running a quiz to help customers identify the right products will also increase your conversion rates. So hugely powerful on many, many fronts, but quite hard to do if you get too complex too early. So keep it simple, one, maximum two questions with one or two answers to each, and then immediately start feeding that into your welcome campaigns and your email content so as you can capitalize on that data, see how it works, see how consumers respond to it, and then optimize accordingly. Start simple. I can't say that enough times with zero-party data. Start simple. Creating a very complex spreadsheet of ideas that never get implemented is not going to help you in 2022. Starting small, then optimizing and growing it out and listening to the data you get back is going to help you grow in 2022. As like I said, we're going to be covering this in more depth as we go through the year, because it really is, I think, the heart of successful marketing in 2022, both for your email marketing, your SMS if you're doing that, and other channels. As I said, you can feed it up to your Facebook. So that's my first one. Zero-party data, very, very practical, something even the smallest e-commerce business can do because the software is so accessible for this, so integratable. So very, very straightforward, and start small. Please start small. Number two, we're going to go a little bit, actually, we're going to go massively bigger with this. This is a combination of a number of trends and things you'll have heard being talked about. So things like live commerce, marketplaces, hyper-scalable commerce. There's a lot of trends going on at the moment, being talked about, rightly being talked about at the moment, which come back to the fact that the consumer now wants to buy wherever they want to buy. As some amazing research that Bright Pearl have recently published, and links to get this report, both the UK and the US version, are in the resources notes. Amazing, mind-blowing report, where they surveyed consumers and they surveyed businesses about their response to all of this, is that 59% of US shoppers now prefer to shop online via non-traditional channels rather than boring websites. So the consumers want to shop in other places, and this is Instagram, Facebook, in-game purchasing, live commerce, via their Alexa devices. All of these are ways which consumers want to be able to buy from you. There's also a huge expansion in the number of marketplaces. It seems everyone's launching a marketplace at the moment to tap into a niche audience or a niche audience. On the podcast recently, we've been featuring several of these because I think they offer a big opportunity to tap into your customer group very easily, very straightforwardly. So we have had Immaculate Vegan talking about their marketplace with a very, very tight customer demographic. We've had Enable All on, talking about an upcoming launch of a totally accessible marketplace for the disabled consumer base, which is a huge blue ocean market opportunity for you all. We've talked about Walmart, which has greater reach than Amazon, certainly in the US, and has higher barriers to entry, which means it's a lot more lucrative for you once you actually get in there. And we've also had one which I will talk about later on in this, which went live this week on Monday on eCommerce MasterPlan, where I'm talking to the founder of Schwab, which is a second-hand clothes marketplace you can bolt onto your fashion store to receive a commission as your customers extend the lifetime of your products by selling them to each other. Mind blown. Some huge retailers signed up to that one, and it's caused the highest spike in listens on our podcast for 12 months. I know, I put a whole growth series together in January, didn't get a spike, got the spike with the secondhand clothes market episode. We're in a changing world, everybody. We'll talk a little bit more about Schwab later on. So marketplaces are a big piece too. So across all of this, my advice to you is to keep an eye on where your customers are wanting to buy from you and to bring that into the mix of what you're doing. Oh, very, very good question has come in from AJ. Thank you, AJ. I do like to be told when I'm using too much jargon, and I should have realized this was going to be too much jargon. So CX is customer experience. So UX is user experience, usually refers to what happens on your website. CX is customer experience, which is the entire consumer experience with your business. And CX, wherever the customer is important, because you don't want to just put your products everywhere. You want to put your products in places where the customer is going to get a good experience and get a good experience with your brand as well. So it's not just a case of let's sign up to every site we possibly can. It's to choose the right ones and make sure you've got the bandwidth to do a good job on each of those platforms, whether it's live commerce, so you're doing essentially a webinar to sell your products or going live on Reels or something to do it, whether you're selling via the social platforms, whether you are selling on another marketplace, either a niche one or the eBays, the Etsy's, etc. of this world. Make sure you're able to give great customer experience in those places. Now, to do that at scale means you have to have the right foundations in your business. And the foundations that you need to have in place include, obviously, the tech stack. Absolutely essential. You need something which is going to enable you to try different channels for selling easily and simply as you have these ideas, not wait a couple of months to get the integration or not have to pay several £1,000s in order to do it. We also need to have our team ready to do this. You need to have a team in place who can cope with dealing with customer service inquiries from your website that are happening on social media, that are happening on other marketplaces, that are happening via live commerce situations. And you need to be really solid about what the DNA is of your business. Who are you as a business? Why are you selling? What are you selling? Understanding all that enables you to make the right choices about where you're selling and how you're going to sell in those places. We had an excellent episode about re-platforming, because a lot of businesses have found over the last 2 years that re-platforming is essential. This is one of those cases where you may need to either change your back office or your front end website systems. We had an excellent interview with Ashley from Grenson Shoes, who last year moved from Magento to BigCommerce. He's being very honest about the process, lessons learned, how it worked, how they managed it. It's been a very, very successful move for them. So that's a great one to listen to if you're in that boat for a bit of assistance in that space. But the key thing with any tech stack changes is to make sure you know what you need and then find the right provider for you, because it might not be the same one as everyone else is on. Number 3, let's go back to the world of marketing and let's talk about partnerships and trust-based marketing. So this is very much for me, a reaction to consumers wanting different things and having different behavior changes. They want that trust, they want that human connection. And it's a way for you to get past the competition and bypass all the cookie issues. Because if we're doing partnership and trust-based marketing, we are partnering with another business who have a similar audience to our own and whose audience trust them. And we're piggybacking upon the trust the person's got in the other business to get them to come and buy from us. Any marketing channel could be used in. Any type of partnership this can be done with. So it could be you're doing this on social media, you might be doing it on email, you might be doing it on parcels, with catalogs, with pop-up shops in the real world. You might be partnering with your own customers in loyalty programs and referral programs. You might be partnering with other retailers, with influencers, with the press, with bloggers. There are a myriad of different ways you can do this. The key thing to do is to make sure you build a good relationship with the people you're partnering with, because that's at the heart of this. Make sure it's going to work for both of you. And then, and obviously make sure you all have the same target market and similarly aligned values too. And then optimize the process. So see how one bit works and improve it. Work with a number of different influencers, and then continue to work with the ones that work best for you. This requires just as much optimization to be successful as Facebook ads or Google ads do. It's not just that, we found someone to partner, it'll work for us. Make sure you're doing that optimization, because that will pay serious dividends as we go through. Thomas from Opinu is in favor of this tip. Yeah, in some ways, this is taking user-generated content and reviews to a whole new level, because you can do this with your customers, and generating reviews is a way of is a teeny tiny part of building those partnerships and that trust. Thanks, Thomas. So I wanted to share a couple of examples with you of retailers who are doing this well and in different kinds of ways. The first one is a brand called Larissa Loden. Now, Larissa launched or took kind of her hobby jewelry making business and turned it into a $2 million a year business. She came on the podcast last year to talk about it. And one of the things they go big in is building partnerships with influencers. So they work with a lot of influencers, and then those who it works well with, they take it to the level of building a jewelry range with them. So Tasha Haynes is one of those that they've gone to the level of, right, your audience like our product, let's take it up a level and let's bring in a whole jewelry collection which you design with us, that you can then advertise to your audience, which is what she's doing here in these Instagram posts. And this is the collaboration that they've done there on the website. Hugely powerful once you've found that core audience, and you're then finding a way of really, really leveraging that tap in. Not only is Tash saying to her audience, I love Larissa Loden's jewelry, she's saying, I love Larissa Loden's jewelry and I designed these ones. How cool are these? And in her post, she's saying, let's make it sell out. Hugely powerful when done well, but you've got to go through those stages of finding the right influencers to do those partnerships with. So that can be, that's kind of taking the influencer marketing to the nth degree, and that is very much needs those stages of optimization in there, which is why I kind of lead us in with that one. This is another very, very simple one, but hugely effective. So this is the order confirmation page on the Flavorly website. Now that's a business who sell craft beer. And I was buying some of their craft beer. And I loved the fact that once I got to the order confirmation page, I got an advert for packed coffee, because you drink the beer the night before and you need the coffee come the morning. So it's a perfect mix. Plus, they're both subscription businesses, and they both have, so they're advertising to subscription customers who want to buy drinks of some sort or another online. And not only is it great to do this on the order confirmation page, because at the point where a consumer's paid for something once, they're more likely to pay for something again. They also then have kind of doubled down on it. And when you get your box of craft beer, there's a flyer in there for packed coffee. So they've taken that, maybe they started off with just the flyers, they saw it work well, so they opened up the order confirmation page swap. I would imagine this is a swap where packed are on Flavorly's order confirmation page for 2 months, and Flavorly are on packs for 2 months with vaguely similar traffic volumes. That's how it normally works when retailers are swapping things between them. It's I'll give you this, you give me the same, and we'll see how it works. You can also do that with email, with social posts, pretty much with anything you can think of doing, quite frankly. So that's a lovely example of two retailers working together. As I mentioned, there's loads of ways you can do this with your own customers, and it really does overlap with the world of loyalty. We did a whole month on this in late 2021 on Keep Optimizing. I put links to that in the resources page for you. So this is like the webinar which could go on for weeks if you indulge in all those resources I've shared, and I make no apology for that. Then you can also do it with ads. So these are partner ads on Facebook. It's quite complicated how to get this set up. I'm not going to go into it here. We have a podcast episode on it, which we did with a guy called John Hagan that we've linked to as well. So you can find out about that there. But this can be a super clever way of, if, for example, Larissa Loden and Tash Haynes, Larissa Loden could be given access to Tash Haynes' Facebook ad account, Facebook an Instagram business area. So then in the Larissa Loden Facebook ad manager, they could create ads using the content which Tasha Haynes has created that they can run for months and months and months. So that one hit post influencer piece turns into a very long-term strategy to put ads in front of the right audience with the right tone of voice and so forth. Hugely, hugely powerful way of extending your influencer marketing even further. And as these examples show, you can also do this with press. Huge potential in partnerships. And I can't believe I haven't said the word affiliates, because we even have Chris Tradgett here listening in, who's brilliant at affiliates and who's come on the Keep Optimizing podcast to talk about affiliates. And I didn't mention affiliates. Affiliates is another great way of building partnerships in order to do that cost per acquisition piece with the people you're partnering with. There we go. So partnerships, hugely powerful, hugely exciting piece of marketing, something which has worked for brands for decades, and which I think is really going to come to the fore in 2022 because it bypasses the cookie issue, it builds on trust, it fast tracks the sales with the customers, and it's something that's very hard for your competitors to copy. For example, Packed Coffee's competitors can't get that advertising space on Flavorly's order confirmation page, because Packed have the relationship with Flavorly. Your competitors can't take over from you in these spaces. So really, really positive marketing. Okay, number 4, your creative is everything. This is partly quite clearly due to the image you can see in front of you, a reaction to the death of cookies and all those iOS updates. That's because the impact of those iOS updates is that the algorithm is being starved of data. Because the algorithm can't hoover up all that data that it wants, it means we have to put much bigger audiences into the ad platforms to get them to work, specifically into Facebook to get it to work. So you can't get as nitty-gritty with your targeting as you used to. It's not worth spending the time on it because it's not going to give you those bumps in performance. And the competition is rising, which means the CPMs are going up, so you're paying more for your ads. It also, the competition increasing, means you have to stand out, which is why creative is going to become everything. And customers want more than just, here's a product, buy it. You know, we see amazing stories of sales from TikTok, from Instagram Reels and so on. It's because it's more than just, here's a product, buy it, is the message that's being given out to people. So you've really got to make sure that you are upping your creative power in your business. I predict by the middle of the year, we are going to see an awful lot of people advertising for copywriters, for graphic designers, and for videographers. Because if video is not part of your marketing mix, you've got to start investing, whether it's, screenshots and product shots and reviews coming in, whether you're going to the lengths of getting video reviews from your customers, you've got to be doing this. And user generated content is going to be a huge part of this too. Customers actually saying what they think about your products and feeding that into your ads. And I've mentioned ads a few times, but this point is not just about ads. Okay, creative, you have got to up your creative game across all your marketing activities. Your messaging has to be great, your graphics have got to be great, your copy has got to be powerful, because you've got to build those relationships with the customers to cut through all the noise that comes as a result of the increases in competition we've seen. So I think this is something which, I don't think we're going to see winners at the end of the year who haven't upped their creative game and haven't improved the way they tell their stories. So lots of opportunity here, and it's something we're going to be coming back to again and again as we go through our content throughout 2020. And strangely enough, Thomas from Opinu is in agreement with me on this one, that user-generated content is super important to all of this. I said I was going to give you a bonus tip at some point. I figured I could go into a lot about how to do creative and how to improve creative, but I've got better people at creative than me on the podcast doing that. So we've given you links to that. Instead, I'm going to talk about something called movement marketing, which if you really want to supercharge your creative, this is what you've got to look at doing, is tying your marketing in with movements and things that your audience are super connected to. I had a brilliant guy on the podcast, an author of a book called Activate Brand Purpose. He's called Chip Walker, and he came on eCommerce MasterPlan last year to talk about his book and to talk about movement marketing. And this was a stat that's in his book, which is more than 87% of consumers would purchase a product because a company advocated for an issue they cared about. 87% of consumers admit to being influenced by movement marketing. That's huge. But I know a lot of you get very scared about the idea of movement marketing and screwing up and wading into an issue which you feel uncomfortable in and getting called out for it. So I thought what I'd do is, one, I'd flag up that movement marketing is hugely powerful. Tick, I think I've done that. The next thing I wanted to do was to take you through a couple of examples of businesses that do this really well, but also really simply. The first one is one called Neves Bees. It's a small business based in the UK who are all about increasing the bee population and create bee-based products or products from bees. So hand salves and anything really that you can make with beeswax. Now, they talk about that an awful lot. They also incentivize their customers to purchase by giving them free wildflower seeds, right? An incredibly beautifully cheap free gift to put out there for your customers. And we love a cheap free gift. That's what we want to be using. Very cheap to post. They buy big bags of birdseed, cut it down and put it in those small cases like you can see just here. And it's really powerful, not least because it encourages people to buy, so it gives them that free gift. We all know free gifts work, but it also encourages the right customers to buy. If you look at this and you go, oh, I don't want free wildflower seeds, then you're not bought into their vision. But if you look at this and you go, oh yeah, I'd love some, I know where I can plant those, you're built into their vision and you get what they're trying to do. They're not just trying to create great hand salve, although it is brilliant. They are also trying to increase bee populations, which means we need more wildflower seeds. So a really simple way of becoming part of a movement, and really non-scary as well. This is another business called Kineta. Julie from Neves Bees, she's been on the podcast. I think all these examples I'm about to run through have either been on or about to come on the podcast. So Kineta is a matcha tea business, but their mission is about helping us all have more energy. So one of their key ways of recruiting customers is they have a free 12-week course on improving your energy levels, of which part of which is using matcha tea. So they give a huge amount of value to help people improve their energy before they even start trying to sell. And a lot of their content is all about improving energy, hence why the name of the business is Kineta. So who'd have thought, you don't automatically think energy as one of the movements, but it is a movement, and a lot of people are interested in finding ways to have more energy in this exhausting world in which we live in. We're back to Larissa Loden again. They do this brilliant range, very eclectic range of do good bracelets that have slogans on them. Now, just in case you can't quite see this to read where you are, top right, we've got the Vote bracelet. We've got Black Lives Matter. We've got Free Britney. We've got Perfectly Imperfect, My Body, My Choice, and Introvert, Extrovert. It's a wide selection. There's a whole page of these, but this is how they enable their customers to put forward out to the world which movements they are passionate about. And, once you've created these, you can then do the emails around it, say why you're producing it, etc. Very, very simple tie-in for a business who create this type of jewelry. And then our next one is one of my favorites. I finally got, if you watched me talk about this business before, I finally got Neil to record a podcast, and it will be up in the next couple of weeks. Now, Gerald's is a beautiful department store at the heart of Norwich, a city in the UK, and they are famous locally. They're not known all that far apart unless far away from Norwich, but they are famous locally. So one of the things they've done with their e-commerce brand and with their department store as well is to create something called Storefolk, which is an online marketplace that they replicate with pop-ups in the main department store of local businesses, local artisans, across all kinds of different product areas that they brought in. And these are stills from some of the videos they used to launch it from the store folks saying hi to the customers. So local is a movement you can get behind as well. So there you go, a few non-threatening ways of getting involved in movement marketing, and they are a way to really supercharge your content, improve your creative, and give you a lot of things to talk about that aren't just 20% off, product on sale, new in. The next up, oh yes, before we go on to the next one, I need to tell you about this. This is a trend identified by Mintel, who are a huge research research company. And Mintel, one of their top 3 consumer trends for 2022 is the ethics check. And this from TaylorMade Polish is a brilliant example of the ethics check. Now, TaylorMade Polish run design your own nail varnish events. Okay, making your own nail varnish, there's an awful lot to get across without going big on vegan free or cruelty free. But they know that their customers want to check these things. So on their About Us page, you will find this beautifully simple checklist of all the things they are. They are woman-owned, they are vegan, they are cruelty-free, they are paraben-free, they are 10-free, they are responsibly sourced. And it just enables, when a consumer's doing that ethics check, is it okay to buy from this business? They can come here and they can quite quickly see, yes, it's okay, they are vegan, therefore we can bring this into our upcoming bridal party. So it can be as simple as this for your business to start getting those messages across and start tapping into that interest in consumers. Number 5, I kind of warned you at the beginning this was coming up. I am going to talk net zero because I think it's quite possibly the ultimate movement marketing you can get in with. It is a no-brainer for humanity, quite frankly, and it's very, very good for the planet. But we are a terrible industry for this. We have a lot of ground to work on in the retail space in order to help the planet or help humanity stop destroying the planet. There is a big sales opportunity here, which we'll get onto in a second. There's also, it's time to get ahead of the curve. And if you start working on this now, you will be ready for when the pressure comes, because you are going to start feeling pressure either in the next couple of months now or in 12 months' time, as governments around the world change their legislation, which may not affect small businesses straight away, but it will affect the bigger businesses, which means it will drip feed down to all of us. Customers are starting to demand it and ask the question. Your team will start demanding it and ask the question. I suspect by the end of this year, we will see people switching jobs because of the sustainability, the net zero status of the businesses they work for. And you basically, you're going to start getting pressure from all around to be doing this. And the steps aren't that difficult. So if you start sooner, or some of the steps aren't that difficult. So if you start sooner, you will start progressing and you'll be there ahead of when the pressure comes on. Plus, as I said, there's a lovely, beautiful sales opportunity here. And that is quite well illustrated by this data from the recent Klaviyo UK Consumer Shopping Trends Survey. I've got the author of this report coming on the eCommerce MasterPlan podcast in a few weeks to talk about the ins and outs of it all. But the headline really is that most consumers say that sustainability, net zero, etc. is important to them, but only 27% of people are regularly buying sustainable products. There's obviously a big gap here. In part, Klaviyo are right where they do that circle and say, are these people all talk? Because some of these people are all talk. Some of these people are, well, we all know we say better than we actually do as human beings. So we know that's the case. So some of this is people being all talk, but normally that's maybe a 10 or 15 percentage point gap, not the massive 50 percentage point gap we've got going on here. So I also believe it's because consumers are confused. They're really confused. Anyone here watching who has tried to make a better purchasing decision, it's mind-blowing. The confusion of Is plastic free more important than water free? Is cotton better than recycled plastic in my clothing? Um, I you end up, just going down a rabbit hole and getting very, very confused, and in the end, just buying the easiest choice. So, if we can help consumers to make better buying decisions, which I think we have a moral duty to do anyway, um, we need to take our great skills as e-commerce marketers and use them to help consumers make better decisions. I think if we do that, the consumers are going to go, brilliant. I know this is a good purchase. You made it easy. It's a great product. I will now buy from you. So I thought rather than rant on about this, I would show you some amazing, easy plugins you can use in your e-commerce store to very quickly start taking steps in this direction. And then I've got a couple of examples of retailers to show you before we reach the wrap up and full on Q&A stage. So the first one is Ecology. We're using these in my business. They are essentially for offsetting, and offsetting isn't cheating unless it's all you ever do. So you start with offsetting, then reduce the carbon, and then move further forwards. Ecology is brilliant. You can buy trees and you can buy offsetting. They're kind of like a marketplace for doing these things. It costs less than you think because they're doing it in the places that have the most impact. It's a bit cheaper than planting things in the UK. And they have integrations. They've got a Shopify app, so you can install it into your Shopify store and automatically buy a tree for every order. You can do very similar things on other platforms using the Zapier integration. We will at some point be installing that on eCommerce MasterPlan and automating the purchase of a tree for every email sign up we get. Everyone who signed up to this webinar, at the end of February, I will be buying a tree for each of you who signed up to this because we're doing it manually at the moment, but I will be integrating with Zapier sooner or later. So Ecology, just a really cool place. They give you loads of lovely widgets so you can shout about it really easily, the progress you're making too. EcoCart. This is a super cool new app that you can install on your site, which will give your customers an eco-friendly option. Their algorithm will calculate based on delivery method and shipping address the cost of making that order carbon neutral and give them it in the checkout as an option to go eco with their shipping. Super simple, super powerful, doesn't have to cost you anything, but gives your customers the option of being more sustainable as they go through. Super cool, cool app. We've then got Dayrise. Oh, I love Dayrise. I have the founder of Dayrise coming on the podcast, and we've recorded it, and oh my god, this is so cool. So, one of the big things to become more sustainable as an e-commerce business is understanding the sustainability of your products. Dayrise analyzes that for you and gives you a score on a number of different key criteria, one of which is your carbon, to give you an overall score of how your score stacks up against the industry, and gives you that great things you can see on the screen there, which you can then put into your website. They also give you a report to show you how you can quickly improve those products to get a higher score. It's super cool. And if we were in a room, I'd say guess how much it costs, but there's a little bit of a delay in the comments coming, and you don't need me standing here for a minute whilst I wait for your comments to come in on how much you think it costs. Historically, it would cost brands months and thousands of pounds to analyse this. With the super cool stuff that Dayrise have created over the last 2 years with their team of crazy experts, they've got it down to £60 per product per year. £60 per product per year to get the Dayrise score on your website and to get their feedback on how to make your products more sustainable. A to-do list and things to increase your sales, all for £60 per product per year. I would have signed up by now if I had a store I could sign up with. Brilliant, brilliant business. Then we have Swap. I mentioned Swap earlier. Hugely popular podcast we put live on Monday where we're talking about this. And it's a marketplace that's a Shopify app that you can install on your website to enable your customers to sell your products secondhand to other customers, and you get a cut of that sale price. And your products then go onto the bigger Swap marketplace, which is it's just recently launching. So as it fills up, that will become kind of one of the go-to places for those conscious consumers who want to buy secondhand. Hugely clever new piece. They've even got Patagonia signed up. So this is going to go big and really make a big step change in incentivizing retailers to incentivize customers to make better buying decisions. So there's some really simple ways you can do this. Now, you've probably all heard about greenwashing. I also want to advise you not to green hush, which is why I've got this next example. This is Green and Blue. They are a very sustainable business, but last summer they realized that their banking wasn't good enough. So they sent out this brilliant email to go, we just want to let you know, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We've just improved our banking. And I show this one because even if all you're doing is something teeny tiny, like installing Ecology or installing EcoCart, tell your customers about it. You can say, look, we're not perfect yet, but we've taken this step. We've taken this step to be better on our path to net zero, and we're looking at the rest of the business. And your customers will thank you for it, and they'll love the fact you're telling them that buying from you is a better choice than buying from someone who hasn't told them what they're doing about their path to net zero. The other example, this is BAM. They have gone all out since day one on improving the world of fashion, and they really shout about it on their website. So if you want to see some examples of other ways to shout about it, have a look at BAM. They're a multi-million-pound company, really, really clever business, and we had them on the podcast last year as well. I'm going a bit fast because I've just realised it's already 10:02, so and I want to leave some time for questions. So what should you be mastering to hit your aims in 2022? These are 5 areas I believe the winners of 2022 will have mastered. Not all of them may be relevant to your business, so pick the ones which are most relevant to you. Start working on them now, and it will pay off, I promise you, this year. We've got zero-party data, sell where the customer wants to buy and make it easy. Invest in partnership marketing in all its shapes and sizes. Message beats medium, which leads us into movement marketing and embracing the path to net zero and shouting about it. I'd love you to, if you're still around, please do put in the comments any questions you've got for me. And I'd love to know which of those 5 you are most excited to get started on. So feedback welcome too. And as I said, you can get all of the resources I mentioned. So links to everything I mentioned, the replay of this, the slide deck, all that stuff you can get at chloelink.com/master22, plus details of how to get in touch with me to ask further questions. Because I know a lot of the people who signed up are planning on watching this on replay, which is totally fine by me. I strongly advise you to watch this again. Make sure you've got all the bits and pieces out of it. Work out which of the pieces from the resources page are the most important for you to learn about next. Maybe even watch it with your team. If you're still remote, all of you could watch it as homework, get together to discuss what the next steps are for your business. Because if you try and do all 5 of these at once, you will probably fail. But if you are able to work through them step by step, pick the ones that are going to be most powerful for your business, I think you will see great success. So I will, if there's no questions coming in, I'm going to assume you're all going to do the e-commerce thing and send me questions privately. That's okay. I will get back to you tomorrow with them because it's 6 o'clock here in the UK, which means it's time to go home. But thanks so much for sticking around for the webinar. It's been great chatting with you all. I'm really pleased the technology seems to have worked. And do get in contact. Let me know how you're getting on with all of this. Let me know which of the resources I've provided you find most useful. And please do subscribe to our emails and to our podcast so as you get all the things that I'm going to be sharing with you over the next coming months, which are designed to help you implement all these 5 pieces. So I'm getting guests, I'm covering topics that directly relate back to this over the next few months. I reserve the right to change my mind on these halfway through the year, but at the moment, this is what we are doubling down on. And we will be having a virtual summit later this year. Thank you, Catherine. Hope all's well over on the Channel Islands. We will be having a thank you, Saladin. I hope I've said that right. Great to have you here as well. We will be doing a virtual summit later this year, kind of Q2 time, where we'll be covering a lot of the marketing stuff in more detail. And in September, we're going to be doing a virtual summit on the path to net zero as well. So there's lots coming up to help you out this year, all of which will be free for you to access. So do stay on our list, do stay connected, and please do let me know what you would like me to double down on and provide you guidance on this year, because I'm here to help help you make your business better, help you make your business more successful, and help you all get on that path to net zero. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing your questions and feedback in my inbox soon. Bye, everybody.